Welcome back to the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Recently, I finished building my house just 3.5 miles away from Lake Como Road. So today I'm hiking up to Lake Como and I'm going to plot out all the obstacles for the off-roading community who might know this road as Blanca Peak Road. I plotted out 14 points on the map that I want to go through one at a time with you today and kind of explain the route and the difficulties and all that good stuff. So let me explain my maps here. This first map shows all of the pins that I dropped onto Google Maps. But unfortunately, Google Maps does not have Blanca Peak Road all the way up to the lake. So in order to get that trail or that Jeep path, I needed to use all trails. And so this is what the path looks like right here, going from the trailhead up to Lake Como. All Trails says it's 4 miles. I think it's more like 4.5 miles. So what I'm going to do today is overlay the two maps so that you can see the pins that I dropped on Google Maps in relation to the path itself. Okay, so the pins fell almost perfectly on the route, and so I think I've got it adjusted just about right. So I want to go through, there are 14 points that I want to explain to you. So what I want to do is to divide it up into 3 different sections just to make it a little bit easier, because that third section I've got to zoom in on it just a little bit. So what we have first is this section 1. And then we've got 4 points in section 2. And we'll have 6 points in section 3. And then finally we'll be getting to Lake Como. And I've got some pretty good drone footage that you're going to want to stick around for. Okay, starting with the very first pin on the map is right here. This is simply a good parking spot for my side-by-side. It's about a half mile up the trailhead. I'm kind of experimenting with how far I want to bring my side-by-side up the trail because it is such a challenging trail. So these next few points are going to be actually just vehicles that made it up the trail a specific distance, which will kind of give you an idea as to what your vehicle might be capable of. The second point on the map is simply a Chevy Colorado who made it 1.4 miles up the trailhead. And I think it's good to see which vehicles are making it up and how high. The first time I hiked Lake Como, I noticed that some Toyota Tacomas were making it up quite high on the trail. But it's not easy by any means. There are obstacles along the way. You need a high ground clearance with 4-wheel drive, great suspension, and these future pins will be describing those obstacles in greater detail. All right, the third pin on my map is a group of vehicles that made it 1.5 miles up from the trailhead. I think what we have is 3 Toyota 4Runners, 2 Jeep Wranglers, 1 truck, and some type of military vehicle like a 4-wheeler. And getting up to this spot on the trail is quite the achievement. Going beyond this just gets more technical, more steep, and all that good stuff. All right, now let's get into the second section of pins on my map. The first up is the very first obstacle. It's called Jaws 1. As you can see from the photo here, it is a fairly large obstacle. I know that side-by-sides have conquered this obstacle. I know of at least 2. But this is nothing that I would want to tackle with my side-by-side. I think what you really need is a rock crawler, somebody with experience that is good at using a winch and getting over these obstacles and all that good stuff. All right, the next pin on my map is simply where the cabins are located. They're pretty cool to look at, makes for a little bit of scenery, and also makes for like a good landmark on the map as well. Next up is the creek crossing. This is Holbrook Creek. A lot of times I'll refill my water bottle here. I've never had any problems with drinking this water. It tastes amazing. It's nice and cold. And the water is typically not very deep. I'm sure the water level rises and falls throughout the season, but when I've hiked through it, it's never really been that deep. All right, next up is probably the biggest obstacle that I'm aware of. This is Jaws 2. It's known for being quite dangerous. There are countless rollovers that have happened here, and there's a plaque on the wall for somebody that actually passed away back in 2002. So this is something that you will not want to take lightly. I'm not sure how the Jeeps even get over top of it, to be honest with you. As you can see from the photo here, it's quite extensive. So definitely be careful going over Jaws 2. All right, so this third section on the map is actually 6 different pins. So we're going to have to zoom in on it a little bit. All right, so as we zoom in, you can see we've already talked about Jaws 1, the cabin, the creek crossing, and Jaws 2. Now we're going to talk about the final 6 obstacles. I'll explain them to you as best I can. So there's supposed to be an obstacle called Jaws 2.5. And I think what has happened is that this trail has eroded over time. And so I think I know what Jaws 2.5 is, but there are actually 3 obstacles before what I believe to be Jaws 2.5. So I'll point them out to you because I look at them and I think, I don't know how anybody gets a vehicle over top of this thing. So this is what I'm calling Jaws 2.5A. I don't believe it to be the real Jaws 2.5. But regardless, it is an obstacle you're going to want to be aware of. And then this is what I'm calling Jaws 2.5B. I don't think this is the real Jaws 2.5, but regardless, it's another obstacle that you'll want to be aware of. And I did put the GPS coordinates of all of these pins in the description of this video. So if you want to know exactly where the obstacle might be located, you can use the GPS coordinates to help find that location on the map. This is what I'm calling Jaws 2.5C. I don't think it's the real Jaws 2.5, but it is an obstacle that you're going to want to be aware of as well. Okay, and I'm calling this Jaws 2.5D. I think that this is the actual Jaws 2.5 because I found some photos online of Jaws 2.5 and they seem to line up with what I have right here. So this is something you'll definitely want to be aware of, as it is, I think, the real Jaws 2.5. Okay, now let's talk about Jaws 3. From what I can tell, Jaws 3 is made up of 2 different sections. They're right on a hairpin turn. The first obstacle is going into the turn, and then the second obstacle is kind of going up the hill just a little bit further through that hairpin turn. It is 2 huge obstacles. Once again, I don't know how people do it, but this is what I'm calling Jaws 3A. And then this is the bigger obstacle of the 2. I'm calling this Jaws 3B. I believe it's all the same part of Jaws 3. Super technical, super challenging. I mean, getting over this rock wall to me just seems bananas. And if you're curious, there is a Jaws 4 that is beyond Lake Como, and I don't know anything about that just yet. One of these days I'll get up there. And the final pin on the map is Lake Como. As I mentioned, I've got some really great drone footage I wanted to show you. I have an extended version of this drone footage in a separate video that I posted yesterday if you'd like to take a look at that. So I'm going to play a little music while I show you this amazing drone footage, and then at the end of this drone footage I've got another shot of Lake Como with my GoPro and also some ATV footage of me headed back home down Lake Como Road. Anyway, enjoy. Thanks for watching.